Hello.
Hello there. Good evening, everybody. This is the second episode,
And it's a part two, hey?
and it's a part two.
So- yes, it's a part two to Red Flags Part One, which I hope you guys enjoyed, by the way.
Did you enjoy it?
I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy editing it?
It was fun. Like you said, I only remembered the parts that I found funny. I honestly
Yeah.
forgot about the more insightful things that we said. But listening back, I thought to myself, those are good pieces of information.
You were so articulate and very knowledgeable and stuff. So
Well,
there was
thank you.
the first half of the episode. The first half, I was like laughing at like the Mary and Joseph, the crack house stuff. But then it gets like, then suddenly it gets really serious, and it's like, "Oh, but our friendship's transactional. This is what a red flag is. It's a warning sign." And it's just like, wow, this is kinda making me think. Because I was listening to it as I was walking up the hill to work and walking back.
I felt as though, if I can be so modest as to say, I had confidence in what we both said.
You
To
made
you.
some interesting points, yeah.
So, this is part two of the red flag episode. I have done my research. I've read different academic papers and different studies by therapists, clinicians, and psychologists, specifically on the topic of red flags in friendships. So, I have a list here of the 10 most commonly associated behaviors that one could call a red flag in friendship.
Let's go into the list of red flags.
Me and Kathy are not professionals. This podcast is primarily for us to express our opinions, and this podcast is primarily for entertainment purposes.
Entertainment purposes.
If you are experiencing any problems whatsoever, we do recommend you contact a medical or licensed professional. However,
Get some help if you need it, not from us. Thank you.
not from us. But if you do get any help from us and the things we say, I'm glad that happened for you. With all that said, I have a degree and a background in social anthropology. Kathy has her interest and background in philosophy. So while
Yes.
we are
And
not
also
licensed,
Substack, shout out. Shout
while
out
we are
to the
not licensed
Substack girlies.
professionals, we do have a few years of experience under our belt in some of the things we're talking about. Not just personal anecdotes, but academic experience.
More importantly, passion.
About the
Passion.
subject.
Passion's a good one to go with
Yes.
as well.
Passion is what I'm going off on.
I have compiled a list of different red flags. A lot of these are contextual and they should be taken as a pinch of salt. Like we said in episode one, a red flag in one scenario might not constitute a red flag in another scenario. It's all to do with how different people perceive things and everyone's own perspective. So, some of these might sound like I'm repeating myself, but that's why we need to specify the different contexts they're occurring in and why they're different.
Also, if you hear this stuff and relate to it and feel like you're the problem, then maybe you are. Check in the mirror sometime. Anyway, let's go.
Well, before I get into it then, has there ever been a time where you took a step back and thought you were the red flag and you were the problem?
Maybe. I don't know if this, I'm interested if this comes up in your list, but I think you said it in the first episode, being too nice. I don't know if it's a red flag, but I think it's more if you're just too passive and you just let things happen. I think I did that a lot. And it just kinda I can't really fully blame other people when I was the one that was saying yes to everyone,
The
overly
red
people
flag.
pleasing. I don't know about friendships. In my romantic relationship, sometimes I feel like I need to check in on myself there and prevent myself from becoming a red flag.
There are definitely times I can relate
But
in
hey.
both. There are times I can say that I've really had to take a step back and it's not always my actions, but my thought process. Sometimes I need to like think to myself, why was I thinking that way? Why was I feeling that way? And
Yeah,
I cut
you
that.
catch yourself in it. It's like,
You
"Oh,
catch yourself
yeah, let's just
sometimes.
stop." Anyway, let's see what the list says then.
All right. So, red flag number one, boundary violation. This is a red
Oh,
flag in
yeah.
friendship when the individual in question is disregarding your boundaries relating to personal information, your time, or your decisions.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
mean,
not
that's
just about
kinda my big thing with Flapjack, just didn't respect any boundaries, felt entitled to all my free time,
Mm.
all of it. So that's a red flag, and I think it's overstepping a boundary when you feel like you need a bit of space and they just don't comprehend it or don't understand
Mm.
it. Like, no offense, but we're not dating, we are just friends, me and that person.
Yeah.
But maybe it translates into romantic as well. But yeah, what do you think about that, the boundary thing?
So, what I have here in this list is not just the red flags, but the different perspectives to look at it. Boundary violation, I definitely think, is a common one that, going back to what you said, if you are a passive person or are a people pleaser or an
Mm,
enabler, can be
yeah.
very easy to happen. It can happen way
So
too often.
so these 2 are oft like, it's a common friendship dynamic then, the people pleaser and the boundary crosser,
Violator.
violator. I definitely been through that a lot in my life. I've never noticed a pattern. I hopefully right now, I don't think I have anyone that does that, so
That's a good thing to have or to not have in this scenario.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
another perspective of looking at boundary violation is this. So I guess if we're looking at the red flags and we're instantly looking at something from a negative point of view, it's very easy to say, oh, this is a red flag, boundary violation. Now, while you can't ignore your feelings, if you feel a bit uneasy or you feel a bit unsure, you can't ignore that feeling. The other perspective that you may be able to look at this from is that the person in question, they want to help you. They want to help improve you or help you grow. They may see some of their actions, words, and advice as a way to push you out of your comfort zone.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that? I know that doesn't necessarily apply to your specific anecdote.
So
Can
our
you see
specific
that? Can you see that happening? Can you see that being a
as
case
in
of
is that a reason why someone would violate a boundary to try and push
in
you
a
out your
way,
comfort
yeah.
zone?
So a way in
Mm.
which one person could see something as a boundary violation, another way of seeing it is they are being pushy, but their intention is to help. So this is where I guess their intention comes into play.
Interesting. Well, okay, example, just random example.
Can
If you had a friend who had bad habits and you were worried about them, would it be a crossing a boundary to confront them about it?
I think asking a question isn't
Probably not.
necessarily a boundary violation. I think it's when you go a step beyond that. So for example, with what an example of boundary violation, it's disregarding your decision. If they ask you about your decisions, that's one thing. If they
Mm.
disregard it, I think that's where you get into more of a tricky territory.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting one, that one.
So if we have, I'm going to give you two fake scenarios or two scenarios. So with
Okay.
your situation with raisin and flapjack, imagine you were a person who was just a complete shut-in. You were almost a hermit, and then raisin
Yeah.
flapjack was just constantly trying to get you out to help you.
Mm.
Yes, they
Yeah.
were maybe disregarding you wanted time to yourself, you didn't always want to go out, that
Yeah.
your time off was not time for them. But
Mm.
perhaps in their head, they were just seeing it as a way to help you get out and help you socialize. Like I said, purely
Mhm.
hypothetical.
Yeah. No, I could see that being true in the past as well, maybe. Like, maybe that's because I don't know what was going through their head, really. Maybe they did intend for me to go out more with them. I mean,
Mm.
I was pretty sociable at the time, but
Yeah.
but
Like
yeah,
I said, it's all hypothetical.
I get what you mean. If that was the case that I was, like, just a lot more introverted and hermited and whatever, then I always said to you, it's how people say things, not what they say.
Mm. I agree.
If you and in the case of raisin flapjack, I don't want it to come across as this person just wanted to spend time with me and I didn't want to see them. There's a reason for that. They were just a bit kind of mean. They were kind of negative all the time. When we did hang out, it wasn't always to do something fun. They would just kind of call me over and just be so negative and just go on like rant for hours about their stuff. And then occasionally ask me, "So how's work?" But then that's it. And then it goes back to, "Oh, why don't we go here and here and this?" And then if I said something like, "Oh, I don't have enough money to go out for dinner that day," they would kind of be like, "Oh, but you have money to do this." And it's like, "Why are you keeping track of that?"
That's the thing, I would
Like,
say that's a
it's
case of
yeah,
boundary
it's what
violation because
it is, it
they're, like,
was.
disregarding your personal information. They're, like, almost not
Yeah.
controlling your finances, but they're questioning your finances.
Questioning, I was like, "You don't have money to go for this for the 3rd dinner of this week?" I'll be like, "No, I don't." It was a weird one, but I wish them well in their personal life. Mhm.
So, an example that I have, again, with Saltcracker, and I think I told you about this, is one time they took my phone and they
Mm.
kept asking me for my phone password, and I was like,
What?
"I'll just unlock it for you." And they were like,
Yeah.
"I just would need to get someone's number off your phone. Can you tell me your phone password?" And I was like,
Why do you need my phone
"For
password?
someone's phone number, and then why do you need my phone password as well? If you wanted someone's number,
Crackhead.
ask me and I can give
Sorry.
it to you."
They're crackhead. They're trying to call a dealer, and they're using your phone as a scapegoat. It's the only
So, yeah, they
explanation.
just they and then when I told them that I didn't wanna give them my phone
They get,
password,
like, so upset, right? They get so confused. I'm like, "I'm sorry?"
they were like, "But we're best friends. You can tell me your phone
Okay.
password. I'll tell you mine." I was like, "I don't want to know your phone password, and nor do I
I
want to
don't
give
wanna know
you
your
my phone
password.
password."
What is
This is the worst
this?
part. Throughout the day, so this whole scenario happened, say, in the afternoon. The rest of the day,
Okay.
they just kept texting me saying, Why are you moving mad, yeah? Like, I just wanted
Oh
your
my
phone password."
gosh.
I was like, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry.
That's my example of a
What
boundary
what do you want
violation.
next? My tax code? What do you want next? The CVC on my bank card? Like, why are they invading our personal
I'm
space?
not
It's entitlement. It's like, "Oh, I should know your,
phone
passcode because 'cause I'm
password.
your best friend."
Make it make sense. So, yeah, that's the scenario one time of what happened between me and Saltcracker.
It's crazy
But
work.
that aside, with regards to boundary violations, with any problems you may have with someone, communication is key. So, if you feel like a boundary is being violated, if you feel like you're being questioned too much about certain things or specific things, from what I read, these are the ways to handle that. Because if you're having a problem, you don't break away the friendship straight away. You can try and
No.
resolve things. Because, like you said, with your scenario, you don't know what's going through their head. They're not always trying to be malicious. Sometimes it can be a misunderstanding or they overstepped a boundary without realizing. So you ask them why they did what they did or why they're trying to do what they're trying to do.
Mhm.
Set your non negotiable limits. And I think that's a fine and fair thing to do. Set your no go zones and things you don't want to happen or want to talk about
Yeah. It's just
and
like
find
oh,
out their perspective.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know if you felt this way with Salt Cracker, but from my experience, the reason why this person kept crossing boundaries is because they felt that I was quite a soft person. Does that make
Is this something
sense?
they said to you? Or is this something you deduced?
It's a bit of both. I think I heard before, like, when they say jokes, but you feel like there's a bit of truth to the jokes, like, "Oh, come on, toughen up."
Okay, I see.
Yeah, so my understanding of that is this your way of toughening me up, or do you not actually want me to toughen up to you, or
Yeah,
food for thought there.
I understand.
Yeah.
You know what? Something similar happened. This is how I interpret what you said. Again, with me and the salt cracker. Some people see, some people think that their lives are great, and they see other people who are living lives not exactly like theirs. So they think the way you're living is not as correct. It's not
Mhm.
necessarily as right as theirs.
Yeah.
So, in a way, they're trying to make you more like them, live your life more like their life, because
Yeah.
they perceive that as the only right way to live, the only right way to act, the only right way to speak or be.
Yeah.
So, they're trying to make you more like them. And I guess in their heads, they think they're helping you.
Alright.
So, the second one that I have on the list here is lack of reciprocity. You feel you put in
Oh,
the most amount of effort. You feel like they don't care about you. You feel like they never return the favor.
oof. That is a good one. I didn't even think about that until you said that. Yeah, I know what that feels like, and I feel like I've also been on the other end of it. I
Mhm.
see both sides. Oof,
So,
that's a sticky one.
like you said, I think that's a good thing to mention
Yeah.
because with every red flag, I have the opposite side of it. So,
Mm.
this is what I have for lack of reciprocity.
Yeah.
Sometimes the other person, maybe they think they're doing enough already.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of reasons why friends fall out, apparently.
Sometimes they just think you're doing all right, so they don't feel the need to check up on you. Like you might be down, feeling bad, and you're
And
upset that a friend isn't reaching out to you,
but they probably
but
think you're
maybe
just
they're just
alright.
perhaps.
Yeah, I do feel like I know some people and 1 or 2 people like that, and I just I would prefer it even if you assume someone was alright to still just check in on
Yeah,
them and message, you know? Like,
sometimes.
me and you, we always message and, you know, we don't assume that each other we're always happy. There's ups and downs in everyone's lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because a very famous Cathy saying, do I have to say it or do you want to say it for me?
You say,
Cathy will just come up to you. It'll be a lovely sunny blue day. You've had a lovely
"How"
picnic. The sun is shining.
I
The
know,
birds are singing. She just
and
comes up
I
to you
will
and she says,
"How's your mental health?" And I do this at work, like, you could be this could be the second time I've ever seen you in the bar. You're pouring a pint, I turn to you, our eyes meet. They say hi, I say, "Hey, how's your mental health?"
it's sweet.
Every
It's a
time.
very
It
sweet
I'm being genuine.
gesture.
I'm being genuine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's sweet.
Thank you.
It's a
I hope
small, it's a small thing that has a big impact.
no, but it's something I did get asked, a lot, but it's something I always appreciated getting asked on,
Mm,
because it's true. I don't care how your morning was or how your work was. How is your mental health, like your state of being? How is that? How are you doing within yourself?
yeah, I think that's lovely.
Thank you
In the
so
words of
much.
Kathy, I think that's beautiful.
I don't sound like that. I don't sound like that. Okay. Lack of
Going back to
I can't say receptacle crises, reciprocals.
reciprocity.
That.
So another way of looking at it, maybe sometimes while you feel like they're not giving back enough to you, maybe they feel like they can't give back an equal. Have you ever had that way or ever felt that way? I
Yeah.
think we're not unaware individuals. We can acknowledge that we do more for someone
Mhm.
than they do for us. If I go back to Salt Cracker, I was very
Mhm.
aware. This person never lent me a dime. This person seldom paid me back, but I was okay with it. It was just when nothing was ever offered, not even the slightest small thing.
Mhm.
Cook me a meal, tell me a bedtime story, do something, anything.
Exactly. I know. I know what you mean. I think I understand as well, and maybe to play on the
I would
other side.
appreciate an attempt.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying as well. With the messaging thing, I'm a bit more sensitive to that because I feel like because no matter how busy you are, me and you are very busy people because we work
Well,
a lot.
actually,
Yeah.
no. Sorry.
No, go and
I'll
counteract
let you
this.
say what you're saying, then I'll say what I was going to say.
I was gonna say, because like, this is the thing though, that like, as a friend, if you're waiting on the other side for your friend to message you, why don't you message them if you have the time to wonder?
I understand that. Sorry, the reason I almost sorry for cutting you off. What I
That's
was going
right.
to say was, I guess in a way, this is a red flag of mine against you
Yeah,
in the
I
earlier
remember,
days of our friendship,
and this is we
where
kind of just
I
overcame it
was the
because
terrible texter.
yeah. I
And
mean,
in
let's
a
not
weird
downplay
way,
it. We went a long time without talking.
yeah,
We did. There was a time,
I was
believe it or
just going
not.
to say that I think you adapt. You make a system that works for the both of you. So in this regard, what me and Kathy do is I'm still a terrible texter. We will discuss on a completely off topic. I live quite analog.
So
From 9 when I start working from 9 a.m. till I finish at 6 p.m., my
mm.
phone might be off for most of that day. I might not even go on my phone during my lunch break. As a result of that, I'm not the best at texting.
See, my
I will
boyfriend
every
says
now and
this as
again.
well, but he tries with me. So there's at least an
But this is the
attempt.
thing.
There's an attempt. Yeah.
You have expressed to me that you are trying to reach out to me during the day. You need my opinion on something. You just want a
Yeah.
quick chat.
I just want to share
As
my
a result,
thoughts. Yeah.
I will read it. Listen, between the space of 9 a.m. and 6 p.m., I will see 7, 8, 9, 10 messages from Kathy. However, that's kind of, and tell me if you agree or disagree,
Yeah.
that's kind of a working system where I like to get off my shift, look at my phone, and see how your day went. And then if
But
I
like
can, I'll text back all in one go, or I'll ring you.
but there's a reason why this particularly works, where I don't feel bad about spamming him with 5 or 6 different messages about my thoughts throughout the day or my views on Buddhism or something. Or like how to reach nirvana or something, or sometimes I no, this is actual fact. Sometimes I'll say something like that, and then 2 hours later, I'll be like, "I just cried because of Chapel Roan." How many texts have I sent you that says that? And it's the reason why it's fine is because I know we will have a phone call either the end of that night or whenever Darren is free, and he will respond to every message I've sent on the phone call. So that is where I, excuse the bad text. It's because I know he eventually gets back to me. You do reply slower, but it's not something I hold against you anymore. Again, that's more of
Anymore? Like I
a
said, we
da
had a
well,
conversation. The
I mean
communication is what's key.
I mean, maybe it bothered me before, but, like, I feel like now the only reason why something like that would bother me is, I guess, unfortunately, if you are my boyfriend, I'm like, "Why did you reply so?" But then it's more of, like, trying to mature and be like, "Okay, people are busy." And
Yeah.
I mean, even though I said like 10 minutes ago. People can't be that busy to send a text. Maybe, but sometimes maybe you just are. Like if you are working, if I'm actively bartending, I'm not replying to your message.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So,
yeah.
with regards to the notes that I have here, and on the topic of lack of reciprocity, the questions I have for you,
Yeah.
and we touched on this in the first episode about the different kinds of friendships. Does it always have to be an equal transaction? So the question being, what kind of friendship is it, and what kind of reciprocity are you looking for? Are you gaming friends, hobby friends, drinking buddies? What kind of
Mm.
friendship do you want and need, not just in life, but specifically from this person? Do you still want or need this friendship? Have you potentially outgrown this person, or have your
Ooh.
communication needs changed?
Ooh. These are the questions.
I mentioned before about the whole therapy friend. Some people have friendships where one person is a therapist and one person is just talking about their problems.
Mm.
Sometimes that's all they want and need in the friendship. But I guess you can discuss reciprocity if the friend who's playing the therapist then needs someone to vent to as well. It comes down to what's agreed upon or what your needs are and if they're being met. Because sometimes the person who's being vented to, they don't need to talk about their feelings. They don't have anything to vent about. But
No.
sometimes there might be a moment where the time comes, they want to vent. And let's say they try to vent to the person who's always venting to them. How does that person respond? Does that person take to being a therapist quite easily and quickly? Or are they like, why are you asking me?
Wow. I mean, it is all that like people do vent sometimes, and maybe like they even said to me, "Oh, I don't worry, I'm just ranting. Like you don't need to feel like you need to give me advice. It's just nice to talk to you about it." In that sense, am I just playing the role of active listener? On the other end of it, though, do you not find that if you're just always receiving these vents and stuff, it can be a bit draining. Is that fair to say?
I understand what you mean. I think
Because
in
then
my
that's lack of
situation,
reciprocating. Because it's like, well,
yes,
you're getting all of this out of the friendship, but I'm leaving it feeling like, well, I feel so used up in a way.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would say in my case, when I have essentially agreed to be the therapist, when I'm just happy to let people vent to me, I have often never been too concerned about it being reciprocated. I'm not someone who ever necessarily feels the need to vent. I would say, and this has been a rare occasion, and sometimes the problem is me not being quick enough to put down my boundaries.
Mm.
With what you were saying of feeling a bit drained,
Yeah.
it's not lack of reciprocation, but lack of consideration. I don't think
Ooh.
some people are aware that
Sorry.
constantly talking about negative things, constantly, not constantly, but taking or demanding a large amount of time from someone can take a lot out of them. I know you have expressed at times that you have just felt drained afterwards.
Yeah, and
Is
I
that
feel
lack
bad for
of
saying
reciprocation
that, but
or lack of consideration? But no, we're all people and everyone has their limits.
it's more like perspective. If I just had a
Uh-huh.
busy week, if I was working all day and then I come home and I receive a phone call and it does go on a while and it is just that, it's like, of course I'm gonna feel drained, not just from that, but just from my whole day. So maybe it's to do
Mm.
with the timings of this as well. If you caught me and the length of it, if you caught me on my lunch break for 10 minutes, maybe I could have said my piece to you or you ranted or you whatever. But this is how I end my day. You want me to end my day like this? But you feel you can go to sleep fine, but I'm I'm just like, well, I can't like
S-
yeah.
Are we accountable? Is it not for us then to say what our limits are, what our boundaries are, or
Yeah,
to give them context and say, "Hey, I've just had a tough day. I'm quite tired. I can have a bit of a phone call, but maybe not for too long." Are we
yeah.
maybe still being too people pleasery?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried to stop in some ways. There was a time period where I felt like there was more than one person in my life that was just going through a rough time. I'm not trying to sound like I don't care about you if you have problems, but I think I was taking too much in at that particular time. But now I try
Mm.
to space it out, and I'm a bit more
You
honest
had
as
you
well.
reached your limit.
I reached my limit at that point, but now it's like if I get a message, I'd be like, "Hey, listen, I'm doing a podcast. I can't answer any calls." So there you go. I do
Yeah,
put my foot down. You might need to rant to me or something, but I actually can't answer right now. I
it's
think
one
this is a good
topic.
point. I think this is a very important red flag because it's something that again is very common and I think people can relate to both sides of it.
So, for example, if we talk about how it can be a red flag of lack of reciprocity,
Yeah.
in some cases, it may be an indication someone is using you. Someone doesn't see you or value you enough for your own feelings. They just want what they want from you, take it and leave. That's
Yeah,
one
and
way of seeing it.
I'm going to take it further and say they just don't care about you as much as you care about them. Truth be told, whatever the reason is, they just don't care about you as much as you care about them, and that's why they're not reciprocating. That's why they're not trying to meet up with you. That's why they're always canceling on you. Like, sometimes it isn't mental health, sometimes they just don't like you.
Oh God, don't say it
Oh,
like that.
well, to an to an extent.
They like you enough for certain things, maybe.
Maybe, I don't know, because I can think of examples of where I've been on both sides of this, and I don't like to admit that, but it's like I said, we're talking transparently because on the other side of it, I feel like there was a time where maybe someone probably wanted to get closer to me. So, nothing wrong with a custard cream, the cookie itself. But I just feel like because of situations, it just feels a bit, like, intense for me to get, like, as close as we used to be because of how things have turned out with another person that is involved in the friendship. It sounds very
Mhm.
confusing, but it's hard for me to reciprocate a high level of friendship because of another person involved.
So the way I'm interpreting it, and based on things you've told me before,
Maybe you can
this
explain it better
person
than me. Yeah.
this person actively reaches out to you. This person, we can admittedly say, will text you first a lot. you could interpret it as they're trying to get close to you.
Like, inviting me out to things and, like, um, on occasion, I've actually had to say, "No, sorry," because if someone else who has hurt me is there, I don't want there to be any tension, so but thank you so much. And, like, I don't want this to sound like I don't care about you, I just feel like socially, this is just weird, in social events for us to
And
be
you've
super close.
expressed that to them, haven't you?
Yeah, so I think in recent days, we don't talk anymore, but
Yeah.
I feel like me and this person have care for each other still. But you can't help it if you
I
have a connection with someone.
This is a great example of this red flag, acknowledging it and how you're dealing with it. So
Yeah.
in this scenario, you could argue, and again, this is just for the sake of this conversation,
Mm,
you were self-conscious that you were not expressing enough reciprocation to everything this person was trying to do,
mm.
but then you communicated with them and told them why you felt like you could not reciprocate 50-50 with them. You couldn't give
Yeah.
them back everything that they were giving to you because of a third party.
I also just feel a bit, like, guilty as well when I don't reciprocate, but then it would be inauthentic of me if I just replied full-heartedly knowing that I'm actually not that close to you anymore.
It's
Just
the fact that all these emotions and feelings that you're having, this person, custard cream, is aware to an extent.
Yeah, so the fact that they still try to at the time, try to keep reaching out and stuff was a bit confusing on my behalf, but maybe they just genuinely wanted a separate friendship.
I think that's a massive green flag on custard cream's part.
I think it's mature on green custard creams, and I had some great times with custard cream, so I am sorry if custard cream is listening to this.
So let's say, for example, you and me hang out, but only you talk about your feelings most of the time. I never really do.
Mhm.
There have been times where I do open up my feelings, but sometimes I'm met with a somewhat unsavory response. Like this person's almost confused why I'm opening up all of a sudden.
Mm.
But what I've looked back on is they're not surprised that you have feelings. They're not surprised you're opening up about your feelings. There are times when you are the therapist friend, you opened yourself up to that. You consented to that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't always assume that the person who is venting out to you always consents to being the therapist at another point as well. In my scenarios where I look back and I got an unsavory response, I wonder maybe these people just didn't feel equipped to handle my requests. Sometimes I let people know if I'm having a problem, I will express enough of it, but the full weight of my problems don't need to be on their shoulder. Like you
Mhm.
were saying, sometimes when a friend is talking to you about their feelings and emotions, it really weighs down on you a lot and taking
Yeah.
in so much negative energy, you really reach your
Yeah.
limit.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I've been on the other side of, where
Mm.
if I have tried to express myself, my emotions, my feelings were too much for that person to handle. It's
Interesting.
not that they were lacking reciprocation per se, but we just had our own abilities and limits.
It's emotional capacity.
Yes,
Yeah.
they
But
had
not
a less of a capacity than I did, I guess.
but in the same sense that the only reason why it was extra draining for me when I was having, like, calls with people that seemed negative was because whenever I tried to suggest a positive outcome, it would be turned back into a negative. So it felt like
Mhm.
there was nothing I could actually say. You just want an audience member at this point.
Yeah. We need to be aware that constantly using someone as an agony aunt may affect them as well.
Oh, yeah.
So, not only when you're expressing yourself, sometimes because they asked how you're doing, check in on them afterwards and see that they're okay after they heard you out.
Yeah, I agree. See, this is a good follow-up. This is good. Okay. Are we ready to move on to the next point, or do you
I
have anything
am.
else? Yeah.
So, the third one I have here is constantly criticizing you, constantly putting you down, or even talking badly about others to you.
Mm. See, I that seems more like a coworker thing. Not necessarily criticizing you, but criticizing other workers to you. which then makes raises the
Yeah.
question, are you talking badly about me to other coworkers?
There's always that sense there somewhere.
Exactly. So that to me seems more like a from more like a coworker thing, which is still toxic, but like that's interesting. Does that play on the whole secret hater thing?
I was actually going to say about with you and Raisin Flapjack and me and Garibaldi,
Mhm.
they almost try to coach us on life and tell us what we're doing wrong and
Yeah.
how we should be doing things more like them because the way they live life is right and we're, I don't know, slacking or whatnot. They will look at the way we act in life, they look at the way we make decisions. And I've often felt in the very early days with me and Garibaldi, everything I ever did or said was under scrutiny, or at least met with intense questioning. Things could never just be left said and done. I had to give a whole presentation on why I did it, and they would
Really?
break it apart and question me about it.
Y
But this is what
mhm.
I'm saying, where I think it does relate to boundary violation, because I don't think Garibaldi was trying to break me down and hurt me. I think one, they were genuinely quite intrigued because me and Garibaldi, for all intents and purposes, are polar opposites. We see life completely differently. We take to life completely differently and we act differently. But I think with some people, if they are constantly putting you down or they are constantly criticizing you, it's kind of the opposite effect of the therapist friend.
Mhm.
They're not venting to you, but they're almost using you as a punching bag
Oh,
because they
yeah.
can feel like you can handle it. But then they sometimes don't realize they're reaching a limit. Or if someone's criticisms are genuine questions, I would question their question. I would question their opinions.
Mhm.
I would challenge them, get to the root of their opinions, their beliefs, and their reasonings. And that led to a whole range of dialogue that, in some ways, did bring us closer. In the way I have to see it, and this is a very specific scenario, because if someone's criticizing you, putting you down, that's not nice. If
Yeah.
you're someone who's a gentler person, it could really get to you. But I
Oh,
think with
yeah.
me and some of my friends, some people just have a harsher tone. They don't mean to hurt you.
Yeah.
And I always, for me personally, I will never assume someone is attacking me. I will take the words at face value, not necessarily the tone and voice.
Mm.
So I had conversations with them. And like I said, I questioned them. And in my scenario, at least, it really led to growth in our friendship. But I can see why, in general, if someone's just taking their anger out on you or just being rude to you all the time, that's very much a negative and quite a bad red flag. Sorry,
I
I've been
agree.
rambling.
That's fine. I do when I first heard that, my thoughts was like, if they're constantly criticizing you, putting you down, it goes back to what I said. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And if you're actually just putting me down all the time, what joy do I get out of this friendship? Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
am I just is it time for me to feel bad today? Let me go call this friend of mine to be put down. Like, no, it shouldn't work like that. They're like secret haters in a way because these are the same
I
people
can see
that
that happening as well. I can see that happening.
they're the same people that once you start doing well in your life, they're not going to congratulate you or be happy for you. They're going to be like, oh well, look who's
I know it, like I said,
thinks
I
they're
don't
like this.
always want to be so positive all the time, but I can't
Yeah.
also live my entire life being naive. I guess
Mm.
there will be some people, they get there's a power dynamic in the friendship. They feel like
Yeah.
they're the powerful one, you're the weaker one, so they get a
Mm.
kick out of kicking you down.
Yeah, I did feel
Yes.
Dutch
Yeah.
shortbread. Don't know why we
Uh-huh.
called him that, but um oh my god, the power dynamic was crazy. Like it was did you notice it too?
I th Yeah, yeah, yes, yes, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I was gonna
I
say
mean
something, not to sound rude. When Dutch shortbread came into the picture, that's when your friendship with me and my friendship with you kind of fell off
no,
because
this is
I
tea.
guess they
This is
were
true.
absorbing you completely. They were just
Completely.
honestly, the
Like, if they were a nice and good person and all that, then sure, but but I in hindsight, there was romantic feelings on my behalf in the earlier stages, and I think this person liked the attention that I gave them from it. So even though they did not reciprocate romantic love, yeah, they just kinda liked the attention I gave them, so they could
They took
just
advantage of you. Can we
they
say that?
did, they did, they did. Sorry.
One thing I was gonna say that maybe relates to Dutch shortbread. This
Mm.
is something we touched on very briefly with them. I have a lot of friends who always said they're realists. They keep it real. They're just realistic.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
have literally met some of these friends. Not a hi, not a hello. Like, oh wow, you've got a pimple today. You've got some acne going on. I'm like, thanks. It's nice to see you too.
Thank you, yeah.
I have literally seen someone now, and they said to me, when are you next washing your hair?
Oh my
And I'm
god,
like, excuse
yeah.
me.
Oh my god. Oh, no, yeah, they'd be like, I could be fine, they'd be like, "Oh, are you okay? You look really tired and out of it today." I'd be like, "It's it's 3 p.m, I'm fine, it's fine." Sorry. My
But in all fairness, they are equally extremely nice. I haven't said anything. I haven't done anything. We're just sitting in silence. They're like to me, your skin looks great today. Oh, you
Oh,
smell
love it,
amazing. Th-
love it.
So I think that's where the difference is. There's someone, they do criticize me a lot. They're very unfiltered with their opinions, but I
Okay.
get the complete opposite as well. They can be extremely nice and unfiltered. I think the red flag is someone who's just criticizing and never complimenting.
And they also can't find a fault in their own self.
Oh my god, I didn't even think
Oh,
about that. Yeah.
yeah, those people are the worst. That's the
Never
red flag.
criticize themselves.
They're like, "Everyone else around me is the problem, but me? No, no." That's it. I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm the problem all the time now. Not in friendships, but
A trigger word or a trigger statement for you and me is whenever we hear someone that says, I
mm.
keep it real, I keep it
I keep it
100.
100. I don't keep it 100. Sometimes I keep it 85. Why keep it
Oh, I
100 all the
love that.
time? Like, it's something you also said to me yesterday that doesn't totally link, but you were like, "Sometimes the truth doesn't always have to be said." And I was like, "Is that true?" Like it's true. Sometimes the truth is better left unsaid. Is that true? Yeah.
Some things don't need to be said out loud.
Yeah.
Like,
Like,
for example, like you said, it's 3 p.m. I'm sure I might look tired.
tired,
You don't
yeah,
need to say
so
that to me.
you don't need to come up to my
Keep
face
it to
and
yourself.
you don't need to look me up and down and then say it with a disgusted look on your face. You can sometimes, like, I don't know, but it's true. But anyway, moving on to the next point, shall we say?
This is where it's going to start sounding like I'm repeating myself. Again, these are
Okay.
very specific case scenarios.
We'll have to
So,
figure it out, yeah.
gossiping,
Ooh.
gossiping behind your back, and sharing private matters.
You know what? I hold my hands up. I'll gossip about each and one of every one of you.
Do you know what I
Best
wrote on my
believe.
notes for this one?
What did you say?
I said I can't think of an excuse for this one.
Oh no! Oh my god, we are so in sync. Not even I couldn't even lie and be a saint right now. I'd be like, "I'm not gonna lie. If there was a red flag, this is it for me." It was so bad
Uh,
that someone told me something yesterday, and then they were like, "Oh, but don't tell the person that I told you." And then I was already getting ready to tell my boyfriend about something that. But it's like, I don't even can't really think of an excuse. Sometimes it's just nice to chat. And I would be delusional if I thought no one has ever gossiped about me,
yeah.
right? Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all guilty of it. I would like to gossip less. No, that's a lie. I
Is
mean,
it?
I would like to gossip. I mean, I don't want to fill my mind with just like other people's dramas and stuff all the time. Like, I do want to be consumed by. I've got other things going on in my own life as well, you know. But
Hmm.
but the point is, I am guilty of gossiping. Yes, I have a girls' group chat. What do you think goes on in that? Sorry. Love them, love you,
I was gonna be
love
like,
us.
same, ditto.
Right? Ditto.
I was gonna say, if I didn't gossip, half my friendships wouldn't exist.
If I didn't
But I
have
will say this:
gossip, why would I get out of bed? I'm joking.
if I ever gossip, I'm omitting information. I'm not saying names, places, people, or things. I'm just giving you the gist of it.
I'm just psychoanalyzing behavior and trying to learn how to not I'm learning from their mistakes.
Sometimes I just talk about things. I told you this before. I have
Yeah.
friends in Scotland you have never met, and they have never met you, but they know you're moving to
Oh
Canada.
my god, really? Mm,
I've not gossiped about you, but I've just spoken a lot about you.
it's okay.
And there are times in which, say you moving, you've said it out loud on the podcast. There might have been times where the you moving was a private matter that you perhaps didn't want me to talk about, but then I told someone anyway.
Don't
I mean, I don't
mind.
think that was the case in this scenario, but
Truth be told, I am in general an open person. With me, what you see is what you get. You know, what I post is what you see.
mm,
It's the real deal sort of thing. And like
yeah,
sometimes I post quite openly on my stories like, "Hey, I'm feeling quite nostalgic." And that kind of opens the gate of communication there where people can talk about me or talk to me, I'd prefer, you know? But the point is, because I'm an open person, I don't mind really if people gossip about me. I think gossip is a
yeah,
weird word in itself. Discussing with great concern is
that's fine.
something that
I would
I
say, yeah,
do. Yeah,
yeah. So,
10
so,
minutes.
so we've got undermining and jealousy. They make you feel insecure and always try to one up you. They're always comparing your accomplishments.
Ooh. This is like kind of like the secret hater thing that I think I was
Mm,
referencing before. You don't really want a friend who's kind of competing against you, do you?
yeah. Oh,
That's
definitely.
kind
I mean, there's
that's
rivalry. Rivalry can be a good thing, but
can it?
pure competition, I would say so. Like, here's the difference. It's one thing to say, I want to do better than someone. It's another thing to say, I hope someone fails.
Oh, I see. You can also see someone else's accomplishments as inspiration as well.
Definitely.
I have quite a few musician friends now, and I don't wish for them to fail at all, even though they
hmm
are singer-songwriter musicians just like me. I'm going to a gig tomorrow of my friend. Good friends root for other good friends, you know?
Yeah. Someone was asking me about positive jealousy. Positive
Ooh.
jealousy being you see what someone else has. It's something that you want, but it inspires you to work just as hard as they did, or it inspires you to do something in order to get what they have. Like you
Okay.
said, if there is a level of rivalry or jealousy in a friendship, it motivates another person.
Mhm. Yeah, I see that. But there's also such thing as evil eye. I don't know if everyone
Evil
believes
eye is
that.
definitely a thing.
Mhm.
So I don't have any stories that I can talk about with any of my friends or people who used to be friends, but there are stories I've heard from others before. So, say for example, one person is getting complimented by a stranger. I've seen this on social media before. A photographer in the wild goes up to a girl and says, "Oh, hey, you're really pretty. Can I take a photo of you? I'm a photographer, X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
This girl is with her friends. And then you have this one friend who just pops into the frame who's like, "What are you talking about? She looks a mess. They haven't even tried today.
It's a hater. It's a hater.
Hater."
Get them out. That's
But there are
evil
some
eye. Evil eye right
scenarios,
there.
and there are some
Yeah.
scenarios where I can see that as being a joke. It's just a sense of humor.
Oh,
But
yeah. I
sometimes you
guess
can get that friend who's maybe a bit jealous.
I see, I see.
This the next one, I know you're gonna have a lot to say. I know you said you want to be done soon, but feeling drained,
Did I not
emotionally
just
and
talk
physically
about that?
drained after
Did I not
interactions
just
with
talk about
them.
that the whole 1 hour? Did I not just talk about how I feel drained the whole time? Um, oh god.
I think you specifically said the words energy vampire to me.
Oh, yeah, I've said that to you before.
If you're feeling this way about a person, maybe it's not that they're the problem, but rather you just need a break. Is it fair
Yeah.
to say certain friendship dynamics we can, should, or sometimes maybe need a break from? It's nothing to do with that person. A limit has just been reached in some regard.
But to counteract that, is that true? Because how many times have I felt quote unquote drained and, sucked out? Well, I mean, the energy vampire sucked my soul or whatever, whether that was intentional or not. And then I would call you and be like, hey,
Yeah.
just to chat to you for hours. And like, it's like you recharge my energy, but then I don't know if I'm draining you now. It's just like a
You've
cycle.
never drained me. You've
Okay.
never drained
Oh,
me. There
well,
have been
that's good.
times where Kathy has rung me, and like her ringing me is essentially my alarm to wake me up for that day.
Yeah.
And instead of coffee, you just energize me. I'm like,
Oh
I'm
my
all right, I'm
god.
ready for this day.
I know. Oh my gosh. You
I'm
never
set.
know what the topic of conversation's gonna be with us. Like, so that to counteract your thing is like, okay, yes, maybe it means I need a break. Or do I just need a break from that person? Because then why am I calling you after? Why am I calling Nathan after?
We just have different friendships with different people,
Mm,
and they can have different effects on us.
yeah.
Because, yes, even if these people were draining you, you're still going back to them. There was still something desirable about
Yeah,
them.
because drugs are addictive. No, I'm joking. Not to compare it like that. But drugs can be harmful. There are side effects. Yes.
Not to compare our friends to drugs, but in a way, some of these friends, they give you a high, but
Oh,
after
yeah.
every high, there is a come down.
There is such a calm down, isn't it? And then there's the more harder, like, the more intense the friend, I guess, the more harder the drug. So, like, do I wanna be doing cocaine every day? No.
I hope you know, because we keep
Not
talking
ever.
about
Sorry.
crack, Kathy, we in all the episodes we've done, we haven't cursed, we haven't said any swear
The
words.
amount of drug
Simply be
references.
simply because we keep talking about crack cocaine and drug dens, I have to label these podcasts as explicit.
Oh god. Oh gosh. I don't, advise people to take any drugs. The only drug you should take is the drug of love itself, to fall in love.
Mm.
Okay. So,
So,
anyway, feeling drained. Yeah. Oh, actually, I don't know if feeling drained is that's not a red flag. No, if the person is draining you, that's a red flag
yes,
on them? Okay, got you.
potentially,
I thought
yes.
yeah. Mm, it is if they're aware of it and just not being considerate, and they just do it again and again and again. Like, 1 or 2 times, okay, I get you. You're going through a hard time. Yeah.
So, there's not the next one, but it's the one after that. So, the next one, control and manipulation, attempting to control your life, your friends, and your decisions.
I mean, that's
I
just
think it's just a
psychotic.
red flag.
I think
Well, again,
mm,
so that might just seem as like a clear cut red flag. But with regards to those other red flags and how you deal with those, it's that same anecdotal story I have of a friend who thought they were helping me and perceived aspect of my life as needing improvement. They were suggesting changes, and perhaps I thought they were being a bit pushy with them constantly
pushy.
wanting to change me.
Mhm.
And they got defensive when I denied the help or I disagreed with their opinions.
Oof.
Because to me, it just came across as they were trying to control me and change me. But I know, again, in their head, they really thought they were being helpful.
Okay, got you. I'm just thinking about all these people in the past that felt entitled to my time. It's not like they were pulling the strings to make me leave the house
If they
and meet up
actually
with them.
pulled the strings, that's when I
Yeah,
would say it's
just controlling.
control.
Okay,
Manipulation
got you.
is when they, I would say, would try to guilt trip you,
Mm,
try to coerce you, try to make it
okay.
seem like it is your decision, but really they're making you make a decision.
Yeah. I mean, that is a red flag, but I think it could come from insecurity and a lack of feeling like I don't know how to describe it. I'm trying to think about it from my own point of view, and it's like a place of insecurity and fear of losing them. So you kind of almost become overbearing to them,
I can
if
see
that
that. I
makes
can
sense.
see that.
Yeah, I can see that. That's the only way I can view it from the other point of view. But it is
Yeah.
not it's not a green flag at all, no. But there is
No, no,
probably
no.
a reason for it.
So the next one, it's just a lack of empathy not
Oh, I
understanding
mentioned
or
that, yeah.
acknowledging your emotions or your struggle. If I look at it as not a red flag, but me trying to understand that behavior, this goes back to what I was saying about lack of reciprocity and some people not being able to give back what you give them. And
Mm.
me using the example of the therapy friend and the friend that vents all the time. Some people just might not be equipped to handle your emotional needs. Perhaps it's
Yeah.
not that they're a bad friend, they're not the best to go to for emotional needs. I think for some people, it's not that they're choosing not to be empathetic, but they just don't know how.
Mm,
I think maybe some people are trying, but they're not quite succeeding.
I see.
So, for example, how do I word this? Sometimes we have problems, but we know who not to go to discuss it
That's
because we
true.
know that they, not that they won't give you the best advice, but we can acknowledge that some people in our lives, we don't think they'd be able to handle what we're telling them, or they wouldn't have any experience with it. I know between you and me, there have been sometimes you've told me what you're going through, but you didn't come to me to talk about your feelings.
Yeah, that's infamous moment in our friendship.
I think sometimes with lack of empathy, it can be, if we go back to all the other red flags that we've discussed, it's at a baseline, someone just doesn't care about you, someone doesn't value you, someone
Value,
doesn't see your
respect.
emotions as well, they don't respect your
They don't
time or your
respect. They're
feelings.
yeah, they don't.
But there are just in some scenarios where it's a case of, if you feel like they're lacking empathy, maybe they're just someone who struggles with empathy.
Okay, I do see that point of view.
I think the reason why I'm really trying to distinguish these is to anyone who does listen to this, I don't want to say these are definitive red flags. There's a lot more nuance to a lot of these. It's not the action itself, it's what the action is connected to and the wider context. I would
Yeah,
need anyone who listens to this to just keep these behaviors in mind and contextualize them.
exactly.
I have
That's
some
it.
friends, they just aren't good at dealing with other people's emotions. I would say they do lack the social skill of empathy. But I'm not going to say they're a red flag friend. They're
You know
just some
what?
people that I know in the future. I
I
just
agree with
won't
you.
go to them for certain
I agree
things.
with you. I actually there's someone just popped into my mind when you were saying that.
See, so the next one, now that I'm reading back, I believe this is a big red flag that you don't like, but this is also a red flag behavior that I was doing a lot when I was younger. Frequently canceling plans, not showing up, or showing up late.
Oh, showing up late. I had a problem with you there, not gonna lie.
And listen, apparently it's a common thing that a lot of people have experienced.
This put me off Nice Cookie for
Me and
years.
Nice Cookie, me and Nice Cookie are 100% guilty as charged for this.
I mean, the last time I saw Nice Cookie, they were still late by 2 hours, so nearly 2 hours,
2
so
hours is crazy.
we shouldn't normalize this behavior.
We shouldn't.
We shouldn't.
In my defense,
Please tell me.
so this is exactly what I said to defend
Mm,
this. Some friends have problems that they don't speak up to you about. So let me speak about myself before I bring up other people.
mhm.
I might cut some details out. If I
Yeah,
was late, it's because, how do I word this in a really PC way?
please.
I was really, I had to take the time to hype myself up because I did not feel comfortable to leave the house. To give you a visual representation, do you remember in The Substance
I
when
knew you were
Demi
gonna say
Moore
the
had a
substance. I
date?
knew you were gonna say the substance. Oh gosh,
Do
how
you
could I
remember when
forget?
she had that date and she was getting ready, but she constantly kept doubting herself and changing her mind, changing her
Yeah,
outfit, changing her
yeah,
makeup to the
yeah.
point where she just did she ghost the guy? Like not even contact
Yeah, he
him?
didn't I don't think she showed up and yeah, but she
That
was
was
changing her
basically my, when I
outfit
was
was
younger, that was my
yeah.
daily occurrence.
Interesting. I wish you told me at the time. I wouldn't have
This
judged
is the
you.
problem.
Yeah.
It's undoubtedly a red flag behavior on my behalf, But if I can say so myself, it was a genuine problem.
Yeah,
Because if you look at the behavior as a red flag, in terms of canceling plans, not showing up, not being punctual, you could see it as someone isn't valuing you or your time. They're not
yeah,
respecting you or your time. That was never my
yeah.
intention. I
Mm.
just had so many things going on.
In your situation, I completely understand that, life, like, when it's especially when it comes to health stuff, it's harder to control. I think at the time, and even to today, I was thinking, if you guys can manage to get to your jobs on time every day, every week, if you have an early start, you always make it on time. Why can't you meet your best friend on time? I know, but obviously that's not to
That's
make you
fair.
feel
That's
bad.
completely valid.
It just feels no, it's true. Like, it's like, are you more scared of the consequence of losing that job but not losing the friend?
Mhm.
It's like that. But obviously, at the time, I didn't know about the health and doubt you were
No,
going
but I
through.
can even give you this as an example, and let me tell
Mm,
you why.
mm.
I think what you said, there is an element of truth to that, being more afraid of losing your job than your friend.
Than the
Because
friend,
the
yeah.
same thing happened. The problem I had did affect my job, but I was always prepared for that. So I would allot time for it before going to work.
Yeah,
Before meeting you or some of my other friends, I allotted time for my problem behavior, but
right.
I did so in a way knowing that I was going to be late, but because you were my friend, I knew you would forgive me more than a job would forgive me for being
I
late.
mean, that's honest and that's true. But the truth is, if that kind of behavior, again, I'm not trying to make you feel bad about the
No, no, no.
past,
Speak freely.
but not you in particular, but anyone now who isn't going through any health related issues, just is showing up late because they just forgot or something. Because there are some people like that. They just have maybe poor management skills, time management skills.
Mm.
It just feels a bit, yeah, you're not scared of the consequence of losing me as a friend here because you know that I'm just happy to see you. But you did not consider that I waited for you 2 hours here
So
whilst you just yeah,
unreliability can sometimes link to, lack of consideration
lack of
and lack of
consideration, so it all
empathy.
ties into it. But a pattern is what ultimately ruins the friendship. If you're always
Yes,
cancelling, if you're always late, then I don't wanna I don't wanna be friends with you, or at least not
I think
close
that's
friends with
fair.
you. Because even me, once in a blue moon, my train gets delayed or cancelled, and I'm very
These are
apologetic
things
about
that
it.
you can't plan for.
I can't control that aspect of it. What I can control is that I do leave the house earlier just in case anything happens. But if
Mm.
somehow an emergency runs longer than I can control, then I am really sorry. But just know I am running from the station to meet you.
So, my last red flag that I read, and I think this ca- will connect to all of them. So, it's a great one to finish on.
Okay, great.
It's a lack of accountability, never
Ooh,
apologizing or taking responsibility for their mistakes.
that's a great one. That is a great one. And that does go back to emotional maturity. If you don't have
Yeah.
that, you will never take accountability for anything. Even if you were wrong, you will never admit it. And maybe that comes with a sense of self-pride that people have as well.
Well, that's something that I actually writ here that some people, maybe they embarrass a bit too easily. They have too
Yeah.
much pride. Some people
Mm.
can just be scared of retribution. Like
Okay.
we said before, with some people, they've never criticized themselves before. They struggle to see a world in which they can ever be wrong. So then
Yeah.
just being told they're wrong by someone else can really flip their worldview, and you can get a negative reaction from that.
Yeah. That's a good point, actually.
It's not
Mm.
an excuse, it's just something that can happen. And you being the friend, it really puts you in a pathway of how do I deal with this? How do I go forward with this friendship? What is the correct action to take? Because sadly, it's
Mm.
not that some people can't be changed. It's just that change is quite hard and difficult to do. It can just be a case of, is this friendship worth it? And are you willing to do what it takes?
Yeah. I think a good a good question. You just said it, right? Like, is this friendship worth it? I think that is what it narrows down to. But then I think lack of accountability is like I don't know what would happen to someone for them to change. I've been on that other side and I know what the other side is, and it is maybe a bit of embarrassment. You don't want to admit that you were wrong, especially now that I'm a changed person. I would never want someone to judge me for how I dealt with certain friendships in the past. But it's about learning from those lessons, and I think if anything was to happen now, I take accountability for it.
A lot of that acknowledgement, a lot of that change starts from within.
Yeah.
And it can also take a long time. It's not an instant fix
No. No, it's
because
not.
that behavior can be quite second nature for someone. So they can acknowledge it one day, revert back to their old ways instantly. It's not about changing behavior, but it can be about changing habits. And that can take a long time.
It could take a long time. It could take your whole 20s, your whole 30s. It takes time. Change takes time,
Yeah.
but you have to want the change to change.
Yes, you have to want it.
You have to want it. Otherwise, you will never. You will always show up to things late and always make an excuse for it. You will always cancel plans and have a perfect excuse for it. You'll always get away with these things, but
Sometimes
and
you
that's
do
not
need that
good.
friend to tell you no. You need that person to tell you you're wrong. You need that person to hold your hand and say when they disagree.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but if it doesn't happen, then you'll lose your friends the same way over and over again. And we don't want that. We want people
Growth
to
can be
grow.
uncomfortable. A lot of growth comes with pain.
Exactly. You said it perfectly there. Alrighty. Well, that was very enlightening and fun.
To
No.
everyone listening, thank you for being here with us on this episode. And please do leave some comments. Like we are talking about accountability and hearing others out. Tell us your opinions. Tell us if you disagree or agree with us. Tell us if we were wrong or right. Even tell us some things that we may have not said that you have considered a red flag. So, Kathy, it's the end of the episode. What does that mean?
It's time to open a fortune cookie.
Alrighty, let's see what. Oh, that's a nice fortune.
What does it say?
You will lead a rich and successful life.
Oh,
That's a nice one.
maybe for you.
For both
I
of
don't see
us.
I don't see that for me anymore. But that's a separate episode.
Listen, my fortune is your fortune. If I'm rich, you're rich.
Oh. Well, that is a beautiful note to end on, and I really hope you guys took something from that. And yeah, can't wait to do this again.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to this podcast. I've had a blast. I've had a lovely time. Thank you for being here, Kathy.
Thank you for talking to me, and please follow us on Instagram.
Oh my God, yes. Please follow
Yeah,
us on Instagram,
and
TikTok,
Spotify. Appreciate.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and YouTube Podcasts.
Stay tuned or stay
Stay
unplugged.
tuned.
Live analog.
Stay.
Live an
Good
analog.
night, everyone.
Good night.